Welcome to the Retirement Planning Show, your source for financial strategies to help you retire with confidence. Featuring Chip Coughlin of Retirement Income Analysts in Syracuse, New York. Chip is a registered representative, and securities are offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratus Wealth Partners Ltd. Retirement Income Analysts and Stratus Wealth Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial. And now, here are your co-hosts, Matt Halloran and Chip Coughlin.
Hello and welcome to episode number 12, 7 Ways to Prepare for Retirement with Chip Coughlin. Chip, how are you doing today?
Great, Matt. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Let's start with the facts here with these 7 ways to prepare for retirement.
Okay, so financial security in retirement doesn't just happen. It takes planning and commitment, and yes, it takes some money. But the facts are kind of startling. Number one, fewer than half of Americans have calculated how much they need to save for retirement. And that's a little scary because, as you know, people spend a lot of time planning their vacations, but they don't spend much time planning their retirement. And they're going to be retired so much longer than they're going to be on vacation.
Yeah.
So that's scary. Number two, from a study in 2014, 30% of people that had access to a retirement plan, like a 401k, did not participate.
What?
30% of the people that have access to the plan don't participate for one reason or another. And that's crazy because typically, and we'll talk about this later on, typically, participation in a retirement plan, there's some type of a match in there, and that's free money. People need to wake up and get in that thing. And the third fact is the average American spends roughly 20 years in retirement. And this may change because of advances in medicine, advances in healthcare, advances in exercise and lifestyle and things like that. People may live longer. So they have the potential to almost be retired as long as they work. Got to save money to get that done. I will tell you, as I tell my clients, the government is whispering to us louder and louder every year, take care of yourself because we can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's my last point. That's number 7. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, okay, so those are terrifying statistics, and I know that our listeners are smarter than the average listener, so hopefully they're going to heed those warnings and start implementing these 7 ways. So what is the first one of the 7 ways to prepare for retirement?
Okay, the first one is start saving and keep saving and stick to your goals. Again, everybody has to have goals. Financial goals are just like any other kind of goal. It could be an educational goal, an exercise goal, whatever. But you have to have a goal. If you're already saving, whether for retirement or another goal, keep it going. Don't stop. Don't take a break. Make it part of your behavior financially so that you can build that into your budget every month. Saving is a rewarding habit because you get to the end of the year and you look and you say, wow, this is pretty good. I put money in my 401k. I built up my emergency fund. I'm ready. I'm proud because some people never save. They spend everything they make. And that leaves the future a little shaky. The sooner you start saving, the better, because compound interest over time is very, very important. As I've said in earlier podcasts, a small amount of money over a long period of time is going to give you an explosion of value.
Okay, so well, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you there. What sort of percentage, right? If we're going to start saving early, keep saving, and stick to your goals, is there a number that you usually talk to your clients about?
We do. We tell them they should save or invest about 15% of their income. That will not make them rich, but it will make them economically successful. So 15%. And if we break that down, some of that could be 401k, 403b dollars. There should be savings building up your emergency fund, your rainy day fund, and things like that. So the place to start is 15%. And the time to start is on your first job, right out of college, on your first paycheck. Set that money aside. Really learn to live without it.
All right. So that's the first one. Start saving, keep saving, and stick to your goals. Now, the second one that you have here seems nebulous to me because I don't think a lot of people really know how to figure this out. So tell us what number 2 is and then tell us how we can figure it out.
Okay, number 2 is know your retirement needs. And again, this is where the planning comes in. All right, retirement is expensive, and experts estimate that you'll need at least 70% of your pre-retirement income to live the same standard of living. Lower earners, 90% or more to maintain the standard of living when you stop working. So at least 70% from the start. And you need to take charge of your financial future, because if you don't, no one's going to do it for you. And planning on that 70% of pre-retirement income or expenses and all, it's very important, because people think, oh, when I retire, I'll be in a lower tax bracket. That may be true, but you're still going to have expenses, and you're going to have more free time to go out and do things. So if you want an active, involved lifestyle in retirement, you have to plan for that.
Now, you've already talked about number 3 a little bit, because you just kind of open up the door with the employer match. Let's talk about what's the employer's retirement saving plan and how that can help you prepare for retirement.
Okay, most large employers provide some type of a retirement plan, and as an incentive, many of the plans have a match on them. So we tell everybody, you want to get in. If you're a newbie to the job market, you want to get in at the minimum maximum. What's the minimum you have to put in to get the maximum match? And sometimes you have to put 4 or 5% of your income in to get 3. But that 3 comes from the company. So if you put in 4 and they put in 3, now you're saving 7%. Money that goes into a 401k or that goes into a 403b reduces your taxable income, so you pay less taxes. The money grows without any tax. It compounds without any tax. And that can make a huge difference over time in the amount you're trying to accumulate and really set up for retirement. As regards to employer plans, get in, stay in, and reinvest.
Yeah, I mean, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I'm going to add more on number 5.
Okay, beautiful. Well, we're on number 4 then, which is consider basic investment principles. What basic investment principles are you talking about?
Well, in very simple terms, you have to look at the risk you're willing to take inside your 401k, 403b, or an IRA. And time mitigates risk. So if you're in your 30s and you're going to work till, say, 65, you can take a little bit more risk than someone that's 60 years old and going to retire at 65, because their time horizon is pretty short. But I will tell you, how you save can be as important as how much you save. And you have to look at inflation and the types of investments that you'll put into your retirement plan, because those are very, very important. You have to know, and we assign risk rankings to different types of investments. If you have a short-term horizon, like you're saving to buy a home, okay, you can't take much risk with that, because if the market goes against you, you could lose money. But if you're saving for retirement and your time horizon is 5+ years, you can take some additional risk. And typically, over time, additional risk gives you additional reward. Not always. It's not a guarantee, because the market does move around. But if you've got time, you can do that. The second thing I would say is you need to diversify those investments. If you're doing it by yourself, you need to have diversification. And many times you can get that in your 401k, 403b, or IRA by using mutual funds. And what you're doing is spreading the risk over a number of different asset classes: large growth, large value, small growth, mid cap, international, and bonds. And by doing so, by mixing that together, you can enhance the return and also reduce the risk. And let's face it, Matt, over time, your risk factors will change. So as you age, many times you're going to take some risk out of the portfolio, because you don't want what we call a sequence of returns, a sequence of negative returns, to affect your portfolio. So the case would be, if the market went down by 10% this year and it went down by 12% next year, and you were going to retire that third year, that's called sequence of return risk, and it would take a significant return that first year to get you even. It's always possible, but in most cases, it's not probable. Okay? It's possible, but it's not probable. And we try to get our clients to understand that point so that they're not overly aggressive in the years leading up to retirement.
Well, unfortunately, Chip, and I've heard you say this before on other podcasts, there are people who haven't saved enough, so they have unrealistic expectations on what their rates of return or what their risk tolerance should be in order to make up for the time that they didn't save. How do you address that?
A little planning goes a long way, and you don't want we get clients that come in and if you look at the return assumptions that they need to achieve the retirement goal, they're unrealistic. So they've got a short period of time and they need a super return year over year over year to achieve the retirement goals. And I have to really walk them back off the cliff, so to speak, and say, it's unrealistic to think you're going to get that type of return every year. Let's see if we can do it a different way. And we explore other avenues. The other avenues might be work longer, work an extra year or two, number one. Number two, work part-time, okay? We call that the hybrid retirement, where they would work part-time and allow their retirement savings to age up over a couple of years. That takes the heat off the retirement plan. And they could earn enough money to pay their expenses and things like that without stopping work completely and taking it all from the retirement account. So the hybrid retirement is something that a lot of our clients are going to look at. And let's face it, some people like what they do. They just want to do it a little less time. So if they have a nice paying job and the company perhaps they work for will allow them to go part-time, they're still going to get their best wage, okay? But they have a little bit extra free time. And most people want a little bit more free time as they approach retirement.
Oh, I'm not approaching retirement yet, but I sure would like a little bit more free time. All right, so that was number 4. Let's talk about number 5, because you said you were going to expand on don't touch your retirement savings.
Okay, you have to have a mindset that once the money's in the retirement account, it's really not going to come out or be used for anything other than retirement. And yet we see this all the time. In a job change situation, many times people will just say, well, I'm just going to take that money and spend it, and I'll start saving at my new job. And what they're doing is they're taking the money off the table. They lose their principal. They lose the interest that money would have gained, and they lose the tax benefits, and they create a tax burden. Because if they take money out of the retirement plan before they're 59 and a half, the money they take out is taxed as income, plus a penalty from the IRS of 10%. So to take money out of a retirement plan at least before you're 59 and a half is very, very expensive. So the retirement plan, you should commit to this money is locked up until retirement. And if you change jobs, do one of two things. Roll it forward to your new job's retirement plan or roll it to an IRA. Those are tax-free ways to keep that thing going, keep those dollars earning interest, let's hope, but doesn't create any tax for you. And that's so important. Don't give it away, because you're giving away your future if you invade it for a new car, or if you invade it for a down payment on a second home, or if you invade it for your children's college education. You're giving that money away. You're going to pay a big tax bill, and it leaves your future a little shaky.
Gotcha. So number 6 really follows with number 5, which is to put money into an individual retirement account or an IRA. Yes. Expand on that.
Well, all of us can have an IRA if we have earned income. And IRAs come in 2 flavors. There's the regular IRA, it's a pre-tax contribution, or there's a Roth IRA that's an after-tax contribution. And if your employer does not provide a retirement plan, then you have to go in and get an IRA for you and your spouse. Depending on your income, you might be able to have the 401k and an IRA. There's a phase out on deductible IRAs for married clients filing a joint return. The phase out this year is $99,000. Between $99,000 and $119,000, the phase out occurs. Anything over $119,000, you don't qualify for the deductibility of that IRA. Now, it's a little better with a Roth IRA. Married filing joint, incomes less than $186,000. That's joint incomes less than $186,000. They can have a Roth IRA. I will tell you, I really like the Roth IRA from a planning perspective. And the idea there is, I tell everybody the analogy is, if you're a farmer and if you took a tax deduction on the seeds and the harvest was taxable, that's a regular IRA. But if you took no tax deduction on the seeds, the small cost of the seeds, and the harvest was tax-free, that's the Roth IRA. So from a planning perspective, if the client has money in a Roth, it will help them when they retire to keep their taxable income under some of the bands on the tax chart. Like if you wanted to have 80,000 of income, you're a married filing joint, that would put you in the top, it would put you in a 25% tax bracket. But if we use some Roth IRA money and kept your income under $75,900, that would put you in a 15% tax bracket. And that's better. Now, they're marginal tax brackets, and we could spend an hour talking about how they work. But that's a great way to save money on your taxes. So the Roth helps with tax planning when you retire. And I think the overall idea here is basically if your employer doesn't provide a retirement plan, you have to do it yourself. And you get two choices, an IRA that's deductible and taxable on the other end, or a Roth IRA where there's no deduction, it's after-tax dollars, and it's tax-free on the other end. Usually a mix of the two is a good thing. Now, let me footnote that. Some 401ks and 403bs have a Roth option in them. So the typical 401k deposit is a pre-tax deposit. It lowers your taxable income. The money grows without any tax. It's tax deferred. But when you take it out at retirement, it's taxable at the time it's received. The Roth option in a 401k is an after-tax deposit. It does grow without any tax along the way, but when you take that money out in retirement, it's tax-free. And it generally is not one to the exclusion of the other. From a planning perspective, we might do 50-50, we might do 60% traditional, 40% Roth, something like that. But it's a good thing to start out when you're young, because I have a feeling the tax brackets need to go up. And the reason I say that is the cost to the government for health care, for Social Security, for all the benefits, for all the retirement plans, for all the state and federal employees, those costs are going up, and that has to be paid somewhere, and it's going to come out in the tax brackets.
Sure.
So if tax brackets go up, from a planning perspective, it's nice to have a tax-free store of money that you can use to keep your taxable income down.
Well, let's talk about the store of money here, which is number 7. Find out about your Social Security benefits. So you've got a couple of tools to help people with this, don't you?
We do. On our website, we have a Social Security calculator, and many clients don't have an idea of what their Social Security may be. So they can go on our website, they type in their date of birth, their name, their mother's maiden name, their Social Security number, and how much they earned in the past year. And we're tuned right into the Social Security Administration. Or they can go to SSA.gov. But you should find out what your Social Security is. It varies depending upon your income level. And you need 40 quarters to be fully vested in Social Security, and a quarter is a quarter of the year. So you need about 10 years to be fully vested. And I've read articles that say Social Security benefits are equal to about 40% of what you earned before retirement. Everybody's going to get Social Security. The amount of what they collect on Social Security is based on their income. But then you have to really dig in a little bit and understand how it works. You can take it as early as 62, and you can take it as late as age 70. But the full retirement age, sometimes they call it the FRA, the full retirement age varies depending on when you were born. So for me, my full retirement age is 66 years and 6 months. And there's some rules there. If I go out at 62, if I take my Social Security at 62, which I'm entitled to, the benefit is less because you're taking it early. But what people don't understand is if they say, oh, I'm going to take it at 62 and then I'm going to earn income. Well, if you earn over this year at $16,920, for every $2 you earn over $16,920, you lose $1 worth of that Social Security benefit. So if you plan to work part-time, plan to make less than $16,920 this year. And that number goes up a little bit each year. So taking it early, you get less. If you wait till your full retirement age, for me, for example, as I said, it's 66 and 6 months, I could earn $1 million the next year, and there's no offset to my Social Security benefits. And if I waited, we'll use me as the example, from 66.6 to 70, my benefit is going to go up by almost 8% a year. The highest benefit you can get on Social Security is at age 70. So everybody should, if they think about it, you can't wait till 71 to get more money. So at 70, you'll start taking it. irregardless of whether you're working or not, and there's no offsets. But Social Security is there for everybody. It's a supplement, and that's the key word, Matt. It's a supplement to the retirement. It's not the whole thing. And it was never designed to be the whole thing. But this is where I said earlier, the government is whispering to us louder and louder, take care of ourselves, because they can't do it. Social Security is a supplement, and you have to have other income in addition to that to have a meaningful retirement.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic, eye-opening, and very, very good information for all of our listeners. Let's go back through those 7 real quick, and we'll wrap up today's podcast.
Okay, the first one is start saving, keep saving, and stick to your goals. Again, you got to have goals financially, and this makes sense, and that's a place to start. Number 2 is know your retirement needs. In the back of your mind, put this statistic out there that says you'll need about 70% of your pre-retirement income to live the same standard of living you're living right now. So 70%, do the math. It's relatively easy. That's what you're going to fund towards. Number 3 is contribute to your employer's retirement plan. If they have a retirement plan, get in, stay in, and reinvest along the way. You want to pick up the match, and you want to put money in. Again, it's going to benefit you in the future. Number 4 is consider basic investment principles. Think of your time horizon. You want to diversify. And I didn't say this earlier, but there's really no fixed returns to keep pace with inflation. And inflation is the killer over time of our purchasing power. Mm-hmm. So that said, you need a rising income stream in retirement to offset rising prices, which is inflation. So we have to build that into what we're doing. Number 5, don't touch your retirement savings. Build a wall around that, psychologically a barrier that you're not going to use that for any other purpose than retirement. If you take it out early, you suffer the penalties. They can be quite large. It denies you a nice benefit at retirement. Number 6, put money into an individual retirement account. If you can do both the 401k and an IRA, that's great. If there's no retirement plan to do the IRA. You can also do a spousal IRA for a non-working spouse, and that's great too. But you can start setting money away for that. And number 7 is find out what your Social Security benefits are. We all pay into that. We're going to get something out of it. And we could spend another hour on Social Security. People say, oh, I don't think it's going to be around. I think it's going to be around. There's going to be some changes. Let's say for my children, they may have to work longer. They may get a reduced benefit or something like that. But for us, and I'm 60 years old, I know I'm going to get Social Security. Mm-hmm. And it's an important part of everyone's retirement plan. But it's a supplement. It's not the whole thing.
All right. With that, thank you very much for your thought leadership today, Chip.
Thank you, Matt.
And this was episode 12, 7 Ways to Prepare for Retirement.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos Wealth Partners and Retirement Income Analysts, LLC, are separate entities from LPL Financial. Content in this material is for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly.